Hi, my name is Sean Roop, and this is Ask a Tantrica. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask a Tantrica. Let's go to Facebook for another question. Lola asks, the origins of Tantra and what it has become today in a Neo-Tantra definition. Okay, perfect question. Thank you so much for this. It's a complicated question. I'm just going to offer it as simple as possible. Tantra is a matriarchal wisdom that comes from India. And this was offered as an oral tradition from generation to generation. There was tantric universities all over India. And the point of Tantra was to break caste, to break societal norms, to invite people to live a life that's well lived on their terms. In other words, it's a royal path. Now, that wasn't really something that the royals liked, by the way. Those who were actually royals did not like Tantra because what it was doing, it was empowering people beyond their own caste. And in a system that had a hierarchy, this was about kind of breaking down the hierarchy. So that wasn't so appreciated back in the day. It's understandable that if I had a lot of power and money and then someone was offering people the concept that they were going to be powerful spiritually or energetically and they believed it, that I might be like, hey, wait a minute, you're not going to go to war for me, you're not going to pay your taxes. Arr! And so anyway, Tantra wasn't so popular with the royals back then. And in its matriarchal approach, it doesn't mean that it was just run by women, although the majority of teachers were women. What it means is that the actual life wisdom comes from more of a feminine or matriarchal flow. So there's this document called the 64 Arts of Tantra, and the 64 arts are interesting. There's basic ones on there like cooking, sewing. There's ones on there for dancing, art, poetry, and then it gets into weird things like archery and fencing and things like wrestling. And then there's other weird ones like teaching a parrot to talk. Like that's a weird one. Sexuality's in there, gemology, metallurgy. There's all kinds of different parts because they're all aspects of life. You understand? So what was happening is the 64 Arts of Tantra gave people a chance to become knowledgeable on all different parts of the world. There's a more controversial 64 art, one of the 64 arts, which is the art of lying. And a lot of people are like, why would that be in there? And the reason why that's in there is because if you know how to lie, you know when someone's lying to you. So the idea is if you have awareness, you wouldn't just lie to someone, but also if someone's lying to you, you would know how to pick that out. And that's a really important piece to living in this life. We may not like it, but it sure enough happens. And so the 64 Arts doesn't have discernment around like what's good and what's bad. It just says, okay, here's what life is, and let's give you parts to it. So that's what that is. Now, Neo-Tantra comes from a place of where there's three main parts of Tantra. Okay, there's white Tantra, and then there's red Tantra, and then there's black Tantra. White Tantra is more celibate. It's more about collapsing karma so that you can go to nirvana. In other words, leave the reincarnation cycle. So white Tantra is a very solo practiced experience of reaching into spirituality. And then there's red Tantra. And red Tantra is about saying, earth is heaven. This is it. Let's be here and enjoy the hell out of this thing. And it's very earth-based magic. It's very tribal. There's an aboriginal type nature to these teachings, earthy. And it's about doing it with many people, not alone, many people. It's about increasing experiences here on this life instead of renunciation. It's about having all kinds of experiences here. And then black Tantra it's just much like voodoo or black magic type stuff. And I wouldn't even say that's bad. It's just another form of Tantra, which I'll talk about at another time. But those were the three main ones. Neo-Tantra is taking white Tantra and red Tantra and taking them and putting them together. And so a little bit of the white stuff. I want to do some yoga. I want to do some chanting. I want to do some sex magic. I want to have relationships and eat good food and put all this together. And now you got this modern thing. So Osho has been, which is a teacher out of India, he's been credited with Neo-Tantra by Forsberg, who's a Tantra scholar from the 60s. And he said that Neo-Tantra can be credited to Osho's teachings of Tantra, because what he did was he merged multiple systems of Tantra into one thing. So he had all kinds of lineages, and he just melded it together, and that's what people were given. So Neo-Tantra has then gone on to be really popular in the West, because here in the West, we like to have it all. We want our cake, and we want to eat it too, and that's what Neo-Tantra has been supported in the West. And for myself, I'd say that I lean closer to red and somewhere closer to pink, somewhere in between those two. I bounce between them. I don't go too much into the New Age stuff to the max, but I also don't go too much into the classical lineage to the point where I'm kind of stuck in that place. There's more about this, and I'll talk more about that in other talks. But that's the basic for that question. Thanks for the question. Hope that helps.